Let's get more on this now with Robert Maginnis in Woodbridge, Virginia. He's a senior strategist at the Pentagon. Good to have you back with us, Robert. Around 400 Russian soldiers killed in Russian-occupied Makiivka, according to Ukraine. That would make it one of the deadliest single episodes of the war for Moscow's forces. What does this say about Ukraine's capabilities right now, and to what extent have they been boosted by the United States?
Well, there's no question that HIMARS gives the Ukrainians a step even above Russian capabilities. You can set up a HIMARS system from a very rapid movement, stop it, and in seconds it can precisely deliver a munition up to 50 miles away. And all they need to know is exactly where they want the munition. Now, what apparently happened here is that some of the soldiers in this cluster of Russian barracks were using cell phones. Cell phones are easily tracked, easily determined exactly to the meter where they are located. And if you have a cluster of these going out, then it's very easy for the security forces in Ukraine to pinpoint them, give the information to the HIMARS, and then immediately strike it. And, this is especially bad for the Russians. It demonstrates that they made a bad decision of clustering their forces in a barracks of all things that was within range of HIMARS or other Ukrainian, indirect fire capabilities. So this will likely draw a Russian response, but it's also a warning that the commanders have to understand on the Russian side that Ukraine is now going after ammunition depots, supply lines, and concentration of troops, which really makes them vulnerable.
Yes, these, as you've described, are military installations, and we know that Ukraine is battling with intensifying Russian attacks on the capital, Kiev, that seem to be targeting civilian infrastructure. Kiev, up until now, had been relatively calm. So how important is it that Ukraine continues to defend the city, and do you believe it can continue to repel this Russian onslaught?
Well, that depends upon whether or not they continue to get NATO support. And clearly, at this point, Mr. Zelensky was here in the United States garnering additional ammunition and additional support, not only for the U.S., but throughout NATO. So I suspect, this war will continue for some good long time. We heard from Zelensky yesterday, and he said basically they've overcome the doubts and the despair and the fear. And at the same time, Vladimir Putin up in Moscow, or a military facility near there, and said basically his forces were seeking peace and security guarantees for Russia. And then he pushed back against the West supporting Ukraine. So it would appear as if we're not any closer to peace, today than we were even 10, 11 months ago. So it's a very disconcerting situation.
Robert Maginnis, great to get your analysis as always. Thank you again for joining us.